Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sports Tech Allstars podcast. We are back after our summer hiatus, and one where we have been extremely busy. There are quite a few updates to share with you from Team SportsTechX. But just to give you a teaser, we've got an upgraded version of our sports tech database, which we're launching into a full-fledged intelligence hub, which will include all our assets, our reports, our ecosystem maps, all our content in one place. So you can look forward to that. We've got our latest report, our football tech report, which will be out shortly. We've got a couple of major announcements in terms of events that we're hosting and a whole new offering for sports tech founders. All of that will be shared with you in due course. But for now, though, I want to focus on this podcast and especially my recent visit to Riyadh, where I was back for the new Global Sports Conference, NGSC. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, you know how important Saudi Arabia is to the global sports, eSports, and gaming industry. And this conference, NGSC, brings exactly those topics together. I was there last year, which was my first visit to Riyadh. Actually, I've since been there a few times, and I was thoroughly impressed by the conference, the scale that it was put up in, the speakers, the lineup, all of that stuff. And this year, I felt they only took it up a notch. The profile of the speakers was even bigger. The event itself just felt more important. I think they did an incredible job. I should mention it is held alongside the eSports World Cup. So the final days of the conference coincided with the trophy awarding of the eSports World Cup, something I got to witness. Always incredible to take in. In fact, the scale of the event was exemplified by the fact that this time I got a fancy studio to record the podcast. And if you remember last time, we had a small studio, but I had a stellar lineup of guests. We had Andrew Chen from A16Z. We had Ralf Reichert, who is the mastermind of the eSports World Cup. We had Mike Milanov, head of Qiddiya Gaming. And this year, no less, we've got a stellar lineup of guests that we brought onto the pod. And we're going to kick that off today, bringing you my conversation with Eric Shanks, CEO and executive producer of Fox Sports. Yeah, we're not messing about. As CEO, Eric oversees all of Fox Sports' properties. He was named CEO in 2010 at the age of 38 and is believed to be the youngest executive to lead a broadcast network sports division, a 20-time Sports Emmy Award winner and a holder of 11 U.S. patents. Eric was named the Sports Business Journal's 2023 Sports Executive of the Year and is in the 40 Under 40 Hall of Fame. I got Eric's opinion on a bunch of things, from the ESPN-NFL Deal to his general view on the sports media rights valuations landscape, to latest tech trends and innovations that he's especially interested in. And we even covered why he knows a thing or two about the Indian sport of kabaddi. Here's my conversation with one of the most influential sports media executives in the world, Eric Shanks, CEO of Fox Sports. Eric, we have to start with the major piece of news that came out fairly recently, the investment deal / preferential treatment deal, whatever you want to call it, for anybody who doesn't know about the deal between the Disney, ESPN, and the NFL, where the NFL gets a bit of equity in ESPN, which is already tricky to manage. And then ESPN gets some preferential rights. You get access to NFL Red Zone and a few other things. From Fox Sports' perspective, is that a position that you see yourself taking with any leagues? Is this a trend that you see coming up? And part B of that question, especially for smaller leagues, I mean, this is tier 1 property. How does it impact the smaller leagues?
Yeah, there's still, I think, a lot to unpack with that deal between ESPN and the NFL. I would say generally it's happened before, kind of in the reverse, where networks have taken equity into different leagues, right? Or done their own startups. So we have a handful of them at Fox where we have an equity interest, and usually with smaller sports that we think have a lot of growth and that we can add strategic value as well as capital.
So you can give an example?
So we've started a professional spring football league in the U.S. And so it's American football played from March through June with professional rules, and we're partners with Redbird Capital and Mike Rapoli in that as well. And so that's going into its 4th season. We just bought a third of IndyCar, so the Indianapolis 500 and that entire open wheel racing series. And we have an interest in, I won't go one by one, but also a horse racing equity investment.
Got it. So you got a few.
So we got a few. Yeah. But this is the first time going the other way around. And it's not surprising to me at all. I think everybody's looking for very unique ways to either be able to add value or to capitalize on future value that they add.
Which makes sense. I mean, we've seen this in India as well. And famously, the Kabaddi League, Disney Hotstar really helped lift that league. But then it has some challenges on the back end, right? When Kabaddi becomes mature and broadcasting is a revenue that they want to rely on.
Yeah.
Suddenly,
you have to be, for us, putting an investment in, you have to be willing to accept that
right.
In success as a network, you may not be able to afford the rights on the backside, but you're getting an annuity if somebody else can pay more than you to it. I do remember the Pro Kabaddi League because we started it when Fox still owned Star. I got to spend a lot of time over there playing Kabaddi.
Did you play Kabaddi as well?
Oh, it was amazing.
It's good fun. Right?
I'm not showing you the pictures, but I have it.
Well, we'll find something. We'll find something. Team, whoever's on this. Segue to where we are, right here in Riyadh, the beautiful NGSC. Actually, really nicely done conference. Also, just there's a reason we're here, right? I mean, there's a reason that the profile of Saudi Arabia in sports and gaming is on the up significantly. How do you see them and the moves that they're making, investments in DAZN, investments in various other properties? How do you see their position on the global sports media landscape? Also, I mean, with the gaming angle as well, but I want to hear your perspective on the sports media landscape.
Yeah, look, I think it's our view at Fox is that sport is obviously on its surface, it is what it is. We see leagues, we see very high level of athleticism and effort and playing. What we also see at Fox, and I think what the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia sees as well, is the power of sport outside of the white lines or outside of the console or outside of the PC to bring people together, to bring communities together and to give people a purpose. And so when the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has a vision for something like this, to bring the world together and to actually take the risk on themselves to make it a success. I mean, this is a huge lift. And then also the future World Cup, here in Saudi Arabia, putting themselves out there to take that risk, to have the vision that the World Cup not only will put them on the world stage, but also be able to tell stories about their country that people haven't done in the past, potentially, right?
I heard you talk about that yesterday in your talk. You said that because you did a lot of work, of course, at the last World Cup. Well, not the last World Cup. Yeah, actually the last World
Doha,
Cup. Doha, right. The one in this region. And I remember I heard you say that you were here for like 3 years before, telling stories of that around this place. So you've obviously got some experience in this region.
Yeah, we really wanted to embed ourselves in the culture and understand the why that Qatar what their vision was and what they wanted to accomplish out of it. And you can't do that just by flying in, showing the games and then coming out. So I think that would be the same playbook here, is you find out what is everybody's goals, because it is, unless you've done it, it is a huge, probably the biggest undertaking in the world to put yourself out there on the world stage, to have literally everybody shining a light at you. And not only do you want to put on good competition, but I think what you want to do is you want to create memories of a lifetime for the people who see the host country, almost like the host country is its own team playing in the tournament, is how we view the host country.
Its own living, breathing entity.
Yeah.
It's a huge opportunity. Global view. The sports media landscape is a tricky one at this moment. All over the world, it's a challenging space, fewer bidders from the traditional side, more consolidation there. At the same time, you've got this wave of incumbents, big tech companies, which are entering the space. I know, of course, you're leading the huge sports broadcasting entity. I want you to put your feet in the shoes of a sports entity itself. How do they manage or try to maximize their sports rights? Again, not just the tier one sports leagues and properties, but if you're German handball or something like that, how do you navigate this landscape? How do you maximize your growth?
When new entrants came into the sports marketplace, I mean, you could even go all the way back to ESPN 40 years ago. They were a new entrant, right? And there's a dearth of new entrants now as well in the tech guys. And it's not even just domestically, it's internationally, like DAZN taking worldwide rights or certain territory rights. So usually when that happens, the mid-tier sports get a big boost because the new entrant just wants anything they can get. They may not be successful at getting the NFL right away or the Premier League right away. They get German handball. So at the very beginning of that cycle, the middle comes up. After things mature, those new competitors don't want to be in the middle anymore. They want to graduate into Premier League, Champions League, FIFA World Cup, NFL, F1. And so then the middle guys start to go back down again. And that's what we're seeing now, I think, is that whether it's YouTube, Amazon, Zone, they're all at the point where they're saying, look, we've proven ourselves, we've gotten the product here. We want to graduate up. And that's when real competition starts to happen and creativity around things like the NFL and Disney start to happen. So I think that's kind of the cycle we're in, at least in the US, is that we went through a 4 or 5 years where the middle guys were seeing good rights increases. And now you're seeing that competition for the top. Now, the advice to anybody is make sure that media, if you're in that tier, make sure that media, you're not banking on it. Too many people bank on having big media rights. Right. Do what the Savannah Bananas do. Sell out stadiums.
Yep.
Right? Sell out stadiums and make that your number one revenue stream. And media is just kind of gravy, right, on top of it.
Great point. I mean, reducing the focus or the burden of revenue on the media rights. From the sports broadcaster's perspective, just quickly, the model is completely different. They don't need to make money, or they're often losing money on the sports. I don't think you can afford to do that. Right? So how does a small player compete? Is it not possible, or do you have to aggregate to get there?
You set priorities. We've been, I think, successful in the last couple of rounds, making sure that the things that we believe are the most important to our business, to our local station. So, for us, sports is not just sports to drive a subscriber, right? Like some of the, I guess, a la carte streaming packages are. Having sports in our ecosystem at Fox supports local news, and it supports, in a disaster, being able to be warned about a tornado. If we use sports as kind of the backbone to support localism, to support debate, to support all sorts of things in your local community. And so we're the company that still, and the other broadcast entities are very local in focus. And I think it's a pretty slippery slope if you end up waking up one day and there is no local media in your town.
That is a scary place. Okay. Now some soundbite questions, shall we say, about the innovation. What's the future of sports looking like around investment or technology? From your perspective, what is the one big thing in the media broadcasting landscape that you see is that one's going to win?
Well, I don't know exactly what you're getting at, but I feel like I would be stupid if I didn't say AI.
I was just talking about the general, sure. We can do an AI soundbite, but just generally from a media broadcasting perspective, what is that one thing? You talk about broadcast, you talk about creator-led streaming, you talk about more interactive layers in the watching experience. Like, what is that one thing that you really think that'll be the big driver of sports media adoption going forward?
Yeah, I think every league is a bit different. I think the winner is going to be the people who understand their partners and understand the event and then do the things that you just said to maximize that event. So for some events, take the World Cup. Maybe the World Cup is less about data-driven hardcore, and it's more about, let's make this the biggest World Cup based on watch with influencers. Mm-hmm. And that influencer is the best in food, the best in travel, the best in science, because you already have the hardcore fan watching. So figuring out how to use those platforms to bring in a completely new audience and make it sticky and interesting for them. For another sport, it may be completely different. It may be putting, horse racing into, Apple Vision Pro or Google glasses or Meta glasses. So I think every sport is very different, and figuring out how to maximize what is the right technology, the platform, and the people that you want to work with.
Horses for courses. Staying with the creator-led broadcasting, the FIFA World Cup in Brazil now will be on Kaze TV. There'll be one influencer who's kind of taking the rights. It's a big market. Just recently, the Bundesliga announced a partnership with, I believe it's the Overlap in the UK on YouTube, and another YouTuber, Mark Goldbridge, where Bundesliga is kind of putting free-to-air on YouTube, their content. Is that something that Fox sees, that we're going to partner more with with these kind of creators and put more content out there on their YouTube and Twitch streams and stuff like that?
I think,
Sorry, at what point does that become competition?
yeah, I think for us, I would say that things like that will still be in the testing mode. I mean, we have quite a few contractual responsibilities. Our business is we can't give content away for free because you don't generate enough revenue for rights just on advertising. So the dual revenue stream of somehow getting paid for your content, whether it's through a pay TV distributor or directly a la carte through the new Fox One app that we just launched a few days ago. So you kind of have to try to thread the needle and kind of test things that don't completely upend your contractual obligations. And so I think that's what we'll be doing more of, is just testing to see what is the impact. Does it actually work? We all think it'll work, but we're not exactly sure yet.
A quick word on alt casts or alternative casts. I mean, you've seen from the likes of the animated casts, which the NFL does, which The Simpsons and Nickelodeon and stuff, and the NBA has done with Disney. And then you have Manning casts and watch along parties and stuff like that. Again, is it just more of that we're going to see? More bespoke viewing experiences, tailored to betting, tailored to younger audiences, tailored to whatever?
Yeah, I think people will continue that. I think everybody has their own philosophy. I think we have a philosophy that, if you're going to do an altcast, make it an altcast that's going to bring in a new audience or a new slice of the audience, or make an underserved part of the audience watch longer, because that's also how you drive viewership, is just get people to watch longer. For us, at least, I think we would view altcasts as, rather than going deeper for the hardcore, which we think that the broadcasts already do a pretty good job of for the most part, find like the Nickelodeon. Like, I thought the Nickelodeon stuff or the Disney, The Simpsons was spectacular.
I think really cool. Yeah,
it's very, very cool. Is it sustainable every week? I don't know, but it's a really cool kind of like one-off to draw attention. And for that broadcast, maybe you created a new fan or a new 1,000 fans, and it might have been worth it. But you'd love to find, what are those consistent things that you could look back and say, oh, I increased ratings by 1% on a consistent basis because we did that new viewing experience.
And that's a big shout. Eric, thank you so much. My last question before I let you go, I don't want to put you on the spot, but that's how we always end the podcast. We are a sports innovation podcast.
I feel like this is what this is. Yeah.
And I always want to talk to the sports fan, because I think we're all sports fans. I want to ask you, what has been your favorite sporting moment?
Let's see. Greatest sporting moment. Look, we were broadcasting around 9/11. And so the president's throwing out the first pitch after 9, it still gives me, goosebumps.
Which stadium was that in? Where was
Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium. Wow.
So Yankee Stadium in New York.
They threw a good pitch as well,
He
right?
threw a good pitch.
Nailed it. I remember I have the view.
Sport bringing our country together, at least right after that. It's one of the all-time great moments that Fox Sports plays, in all of our reels.
Great way to end. Eric, thanks so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.